Thank you for tuning in to the Helium Radio Network. You are listening to a rebroadcast of a previously recorded show.
Peaceful Warriors Wellness. Feel better, move better, be better. When you feel better, you feel more like you. And when you move better, there's so much you can do. Be who you were meant to be. Peaceful Warriors Wellness. Feel better, move better, be better. Peaceful Warriors.
Welcome, everybody. This is the Feel Better, Move Better, Be Better podcast with Scott Roberts.
And Lena Roberts.
And Roma Osterman. That's my last name. Don't wear it out. I'm tired.
And we are at Peaceful Warriors Wellness Center at 19 Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Street South in St. Petersburg, Florida. And our website is www.peacefulwarriorswellness.com. You can always give us a call at 727-822-8866. So what are we going to talk about today?
And we're also on Facebook.
We are?
We're on Facebook.
And
Instagram.
Yeah.
Instagram, YouTube.
PW Wellness.
And Pinterest.
Pinterest as
And
well.
LinkedIn.
We're growing.
And we have an account on Twitter, but we don't use it because Twitter's just too fast for us.
Twitter's too much.
Yeah.
So as a matter of fact, this morning we had our Feel Better, Move Better, Be Better movement session.
On Facebook.
And that goes on Facebook. And then Roma will be putting it on YouTube later.
Yes. And all of them are on YouTube. So if anybody wanted to go back in there and look over your almost a year now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Lots of stretching.
Yeah,
some
because you
corrective
started
exercise
this in
mixed in
March
there.
last year, didn't you?
I think so, yeah. Took a little bit of a break for a little while after we first
Yeah.
got back open, but
Yeah, that's impressive.
yeah.
10 out of 10.
Awesome. So I think you said that we're going to talk about a couple different things today. In the first segment, we're going to talk about what I've been doing for the last week and the last 5 months a little bit.
Yeah.
And then the second segment, we're going to talk about some reflexology and essential oils. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So for the first half of our podcast, we're going to talk about Juice Plus and Shred 10. So for the last week, and I still have 3 more days left of the 10 days, I've been participating in what's called Shred 10. And it's a detox cleanse program that Juice Plus has, and we do it every single month. Usually it's the first 10 days of the month. But Melanie had family in from out of town the first week, so we started the second week. And it's actually pretty exciting. So in the guidelines, there are 10 things that they want you to change or do differently during this 10-day period than what you would normally do. You need to add more plant foods and Juice Plus capsules every day. 1 to 2 complete shakes every day. Complete is the name of the shake powder that they have. Drink plenty of water. Take 10 deep breaths and get 7 hours of sleep every day. Exercise most days. Reduce or eliminate caffeine and alcohol. Do not eat after 6 p.m. There's a couple of exceptions in there for people that are children, pregnant or nursing mothers, elite athletes, night shift workers, people that need to be eating around different parameters. But the idea is to have at least 12 hours of intermittent fasting where you're not eating anything to give your body a chance to fully digest the food and to give your digestive system a chance to rest in between, because it needs to rest also. And most of the time we're like eating right up until we get into bed, and then you wake up and you start eating. It never really has a chance to recover. Don't eat any processed food.
Any what food?
Processed foods.
Processed food, okay.
Eliminate gluten and dairy, and eliminate artificial and refined sugars. So it's actually been pretty incredible. The hardest thing for me has been not to eat after 6, because usually we're here in the office until at least 7. By the time we get home, it's around 8. By the time we eat, it's usually 8:30-ish.
Yeah.
So that's kind of been the biggest one for me to change. Most of the rest of it I've been doing consistently for the last 5 months. I've been a lot more strict this week on my plant-based foods and whole foods, not eating any processed foods this week. So that's been good. And eliminating the sugars as well, not having the sweets in my diet. So it's been very rewarding. I think my body composition is changing quite drastically this week as far as feeling thinner and lighter, not as bloated. I still have tons of energy.
When did you stop feeling, when did you feel less bloated?
Well, it's been a process over the last few months, but probably after the first 2 or 3 days, it really just changed.
Yeah, that's what I felt too. And I'm not doing it to the extreme that you're doing it. I am reducing these things as opposed to eliminating them. And I felt a drastic change in the bloating after like the 3rd day.
Right. So, a lot of people are going to struggle with not having the caffeine, and some are going to struggle with not having the alcohol because that's something that they're used to having every day. Luckily for us, we don't drink alcohol, and I don't drink any caffeine. I pretty much gave that up when I gave up the Mountain Dew. I don't like coffee at all, so I didn't have to worry about giving that up. So
and I drink decaf coffee.
Well, I'll drink the caffeine for all 3 of us. It's all good.
It's always nice to have somebody on the wings, that can
She's over there
take over your share.
The good stuff.
But a lot of times when you do a detox or cleanse type program, they're so extreme and they hit you so hard, and people are walking around either feeling like they're a zombie and they can't wake up. They don't have any energy. Whereas with this program, you're still eating real whole foods and just being really healthy about it. So it's been a very great week. And I've got 3 more days of being this strict, but I don't really feel like I'm missing out on anything.
I have been very, very impressed with your strictness. That's the reason I say that I do the reducing it, because I can't do that drastic change and feel good about it. Now, like you said, about 3 days into it, I felt a lot better. I felt a change. I've just been making sure I've had that 14 hours in between eating and plant-based. And what else am I doing?
You've been doing a really good job of following along pretty well. I've been very impressed by that. As you said, I have a lot of discipline. The military upbringing I had and the time in the military I spent myself made sure I had plenty of that.
Yeah.
And that helps.
And you can eat gruel. I mean, literally, if you see some of the stuff that I have put in front of this man before and he has ate it, he will eat anything.
Yeah, you don't get an opportunity when you're in the military, and especially when you were in basic, to actually pick or choose what you're going to eat. Whatever they put on your plate, that's what you get.
Yeah, I am not that way at all. I am so picky with what I eat. And usually it's good, except for cupcakes. I am a cupcakeaholic. I haven't had one in, what has it been, 2 weeks, over 2 weeks?
Well, actually, if I remember correctly, you bought that little box from Soiree the weekend before we started the Shred 10.
Right. So that's the last weekend that we've had it. So it's only been a week.
Yeah, it's been 1 week. Yeah. Feels like 2 to you.
It feels like forever.
Because I remember eating that one little tiny cupcake, the peanut butter chocolate cupcake that you brought me on Sunday before I started the Shred 10.
Right. Gosh. Oh, it seems like it's been forever. It's only been a week.
You can imagine what our next stop is going to be come Thursday or Friday. You know, she's going to be wanting to go through the drive-through somewhere and get some Krispy
Krispy
Kremes.
Kreme. But it'll have
me
to be. Yeah, definitely. I got that free
Just one?
dozen. She's
Well,
like, a dozen. 1 dozen.
I do. I have a thing for the Boston cream ones. If anyone needs to know.
Yes.
We'll keep that in mind.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit more about what you hope to achieve by.
Well, the biggest thing for me is to set the example. So I've lost about 35 pounds in 5 months. I may have lost a little bit more this week. I don't know. I'll find out Friday when I do my next weigh-in and body composition test. So I'm really looking forward to seeing, hopefully I've lost another % or 2 in body fat. But I made a decision that I needed to make some changes in my life in order to have a bit higher quality of life in the future. I was predisposed to heart attack or other heart disease issues because I was overweight, had high blood pressure and high cholesterol. And 1 in 4 people are going to die from heart disease. That's pretty scary. And the biggest problem that we have is that people are participating in the killing themselves slowly over time, day after day, month after month, year after year. And they find it okay and acceptable. And then they go to the doctor because they have problems, and the doctor gives them medication, which alleviates some of the symptoms, but it doesn't change the problem that the body has, that the cells are not getting what they need to function at the best level that they can. So I just want to set an example and hope that I can share that journey with other people. People that have had kids with Down syndrome, people that have diabetes, and I don't diagnose, and nothing that I'm doing is designed to treat or cure anything. What I will tell you is that if you give your body what it needs, it will heal itself. It will keep itself healthy if you already are, and avoid and prevent many of those chronic illnesses and illnesses that we accept as normal today. It would make a big difference.
Yeah, inflammation is so much of what goes on with you, and what goes on with most of the American society is inflammation. Most pain is associated with that. I mean, if it's not the cause of it, it does exacerbate it.
And inflammation as a result of an injury where the body's trying to heal itself is great. That's temporary. It's the chronic inflammation that we have that is killing us and making us sick. It's a breeding ground.
Right. And that's what I think that causes my personal bloating. And because whenever that bloating went away, all my little arthritic, aches and pains, that went away.
All right. So we'll be back in a few minutes. And in our next segment, we're going to be talking about reflexology and essential oils and how important those are in what we do here.
Yay.
All right. So we'll be back in a few minutes.
Hey, Eric Remmel here, producer of the Feel Better, Move Better, Be Better podcast, and I'm here today to tell you about the amazing folks at Peaceful Warriors Wellness Center. Not only am I a producer of the show, but I'm also a client. Their staff of therapists are truly the best at what they do. Now is your chance to check them out for yourself. Go to their website, peacefulwarriorswellness.com, and click Book Now, or give them a call at 727-822-8866. Use the promo code RADIO and get $15 off your first visit. Yes, you heard me right. $15 off your first visit. Now, this is just for a limited time, and make sure to tell them that you heard about it on heliumradio.com.
Welcome back to the Feel Better, Move Better, Be Better podcast. at Peaceful Warriors Wellness Center. My name is Scott Roberts.
And my name is Lena Roberts.
And I'm Roma Ostman. Yay. It's me.
She's an incredible assistant. We love having her here.
Absolutely.
One of the best decisions we've made in a long time.
Absolutely.
Oh, shucks.
Shucks. So I believe we're going to be talking about reflexology and essential oils, which is a little bit more your forte than mine. Or a whole lot more.
Well, it's your forte of receiving it.
Well, sure.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So I want to talk. I get this question a lot of who needs reflexology? Who can benefit from reflexology?
I do.
Yes,
Everyone?
you do.
She does.
Roma does. I don't know if everyone does because some people are just not open to it. Mm-hmm. And there are some contradictions to it. I wouldn't say that everyone is a candidate for reflexology. They may be at some, like if someone has had foot surgery, they're not really going to be able to have reflexology on their feet at that time, but they could have it on their hands and face and ears. And so, I mean, there's a lot of options to it. But my question that I get is, who's an ideal client for you? And the ideal client for me would be someone that is in a change of life or is in a change of someone that's starting a diet or they've been on this diet, they've made the commitment in 2021 to get healthier and they feel like they've hit that wall. Right now going into the 90 days, usually you hit a wall at about day 70. And reflexology really helps you communicate with your body better. It helps you clear some of those energy pathways, some of those lymphatic pathways that let you understand what your body needs a little bit better. I want someone who has had massage and chiropractic work and maybe even some physical therapy, and they still just cannot get where they feel like that they know what is going on with their body and how to treat themselves. And reflexology can help you with that. So whenever I have someone come in to my office, one of the first things that I do is I talk to them about what they are looking for out of that session. And then I usually use some kind of essential oil on them. And it depends on what's going on with them. If it's more of a physical pain, if they're saying, my low back is killing me, I'm going to use something that's a little bit more on the minty, peppermint. doTERRA has a great essential oil. It's deep blue. They've got it in a cream too, but I use it in the oil. Like, I just have them put them in their hands and rub their hands in front of their face and take a few deep breaths, and it really helps bring their breath into their body. Then if they are stressed, I have lots of different oils that I can choose from. There's one called from doTERRA called Balance, and it has a lot of the frankincense and trees. I think it's got spruce and hoe wood, and so it's real strong trees, and it really grounds them down. What you have in your diffuser beside of you right now that we're all smelling in here is called Console. And all the ones that I'm talking about are doTERRA. There's not just the ones that I use. I use a lot of different essential oils, but I've got the set that's going through right now is doTERRA.
One of the things I like about your approach to reflexology is that it is not anywhere close to just a foot massage.
No, it definitely
Nor
is
is it a typical approach to treatment that some reflexologists have of this is bothering you, push here.
Yes, it's
what
not
you do that's a lot different in the way you were taught is a assessment pattern that allows you to figure out things as you go. And it's really kind of interesting. It's almost kind of spooky in a way, how well you're able to determine what's going on with that person in their body through the markers and what you're feeling in their feet and hands.
And what they tell me. I listen to people too, not just their body, but I do listen.
Well, it's a combination.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like to listen to what people say, because I always go back to House, that old TV show House. Do you remember that? It was on ABC, I think. And on their House, Dr. House would say, all patients lie. And not necessarily lying to evade, but they don't tell you the whole truth. They hold back things. And that's what I feel like that the feet and the hands and the face, the reflexology helps me understand what people are afraid or don't know that it's important to tell me. And, when they tell me, oh, I'm active all the time, and then whenever I touch their feet and their feet tell me, no, you don't. You've been sitting a lot. No judgment from the sitting or movement, but in order to have a good feedback on what can help you feel better, we need to know what's going on with people. What they're actually doing. And their feet tell me that.
So one of the things that's always interesting to me is when a client comes in and says, they're 60 years old, I've never been in an accident, I've never had an injury. And I just look at them and I'm like, how in the heck did you get this far in life and not have anything ever happen? And then 10, 15 minutes into their session, they go, oh, well, when I was 18 years old, I got in a car accident or I broke this. And they seem to think that because it happened so long ago, it's no longer relevant.
20 years ago, I had gallbladder surgery. 3 years ago, I had pneumonia. It's not actively happening right now, so they don't need to talk about it. Excuse me.
Yeah, so it's always interesting being able to get more of the truth out of them as you go through any session, reflexology or otherwise, on when you go, oh, well, why is this bothering you? Oh, well, that shoulder was, 30 years ago.
It seems like in most sessions, I'm like, so what's going on with your upper digestion, the stomach? You got some indigestion going on? And they're like, well, yeah, I have, been really had some indigestion. Or I go, oh, are you dealing with some constipation? And they're like, yeah. And that's because there's certain areas of their feet that is really clogged up. A lot of times it's actually red and hot. For me, one of the things that I have for myself is usually whenever I'm having really bad indigestion, I have cramps in my toes, like at the base of my toes. My third and fourth toe will actually cramp and turn in on each other. Usually whenever that's happening, I am having some really bad indigestion. I really correlate those two physically with me now. Not saying that anybody else is going to have that exact same problem. That's what my symptoms come in.
Mm-hmm.
So.
That's wild.
All right, well, that's all very interesting information. And if any of you listening would like to get more information on Juice Plus and Shred 10, please give us a call, 727-822-8866, and ask Scott to call you back. If you happen to have any questions that are related to reflexology and or essential oils, call the same number. That's 727-822-8866, 727-822-8866. Is it 3 times? Anyway. and ask Lena to return your call, and we'll be glad to give you more detailed information on how it might apply to you as an individual, as opposed to the broad spectrum in which we've been talking about today.
Right, because the reflexology, it really is individually based. Because what I do with you is not going to be what I do with the person sitting beside of you.
All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us for this edition of the Feel Better, Move Better, Be Better podcast. Hope you guys have an incredible week, and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you for listening to Helium Radio. The views expressed by show hosts or their guests are their own and should not be construed in any way as advice from Helium Radio. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our website. Personal perspectives expressed by the producers, writers, and editors will always be presented as such. Any rebroadcast or retransmission without the express written consent of Helium Radio is strictly prohibited. Thanks for listening.